FM Talk 1065, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority. The safety is off. There's a round in the chamber. This is Armed Alabama. Sponsored by McCoy Outdoor Company, Mobile's hometown full-line outdoor sporting products and gear store. An interactive talk show discussing self-defense, product reviews, shooting tips, safety, and more. Your calls, comments, and texts welcome at 343-0106. Now, here are your hosts, retired judge and certified NRA instructor Rusty Johnston and certified NRA law enforcement instructor Adam Strange.
Where the city lights don't shine, I live my life the simple way, and you know I'm doing just fine. I fish, I hunt, and I shoot my guns, and I raise a little hell. The things I do, you know I do them well. This is my America, and I'm so proud. I don't mind, I say it loud. This is my America, God bless America, land of the free, because of the brave. This is my America.
Welcome to Armed Alabama. Glad you could join us tonight. We've got a good show for you. Of course, myself and the judge is here in the
12
studio.
12 days of Christmas, huh?
What's what we need to
but
count
we're about
down?
20.
Are we counting down 12
21
days?
days, I guess. 21 days of Christmas.
And of course, it's not Christmas unless there's
There's
a gun under the tree.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
So we also have in the studio with us Will Case from the Friends of the NRA, who's kind of becoming a staple here on this show. So glad to have you in the studio with us, Will. Of course, he's here to talk about the latest fundraising effort that the Friends of the NRA are putting on. So tune in for more details. Of course, as always, this is Armed Alabama, and we're here to talk about your self-defense, firearm and ammo selection, home protection, concealed carry concerns, training, proper range etiquette, and, of course, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi law. As we found out in the previous versions of the show or previous episodes, we've had a lot of people calling in from Mississippi and Florida to the show. And, of course, we appreciate that. And, of course, the judge is extremely well-versed in the law.
I keep up with all of that.
and you do a fantastic job, and we
Adam,
definitely appreciate it.
Everybody, we're on Facebook because I'm going to give away a prize, and you have to be watching Facebook in order to answer the question. And you go to Armed Alabama Radio FM Talk 1065 on Facebook, and you can see the picture, and it's probably frozen, but it says live. Press play, and probably in 15 minutes or so, I'll show y'all something, and whoever can ID it, probably winning a Brownells 30-round AR-15 magazine with chrome silicone spring and mag pull follower. Wow.
Nice.
I have a lot of those left over because I was afraid Hillary might win, and so I can kind of thin them down a little bit. Glad I didn't get any more. And then we're also, when I think up the right question, going to give away Paul Brewski's book, The Last Stand, the Mobile Campaign, Alabama 1865, about the Union taking of Blakely, Spanish Fort Blakely, and finally Mobile, which is always overlooked. You know, most people, Lee surrendered at Appomattox, and as Mrs. Lee said, General Lee is not the Confederacy. You know, he surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia that was with him, actually. If, like Mosley and some of these others that weren't with him, they got a clarification, they didn't count. So, you know, there were a lot of battles after that, and I tell you, there were some in particular out in the Indian nations because they had allied with the Confederacy, and I'm probably going to post it, a great almost a statement of why they were joining forces with the Confederacy, you'd think Jefferson Davis wrote it. And by the way, you know the song we play sometimes, Okie from Muskogee, of course. Do you know what that means?
No, I do not.
I hate to say it. I've just figured out, and I'm right at 60. That is the name the Creek Indians called themselves, Muskogee. The British tacked on creeks. So it's probably the part of Oklahoma, obviously, that the Creeks lived. But, yeah, pretty interesting. So Okie from Muskogee.
And, of course, if you're just now tuning in, you can join us on Facebook and watch us on Facebook Live. We're broadcasting there, and that Facebook page is Armed Alabama Radio, FM Talk 106.5. Please like and save, follow while you're there, and that way you'll be notified of all of our posts. And each time we go live, we try to post a lot of content. At least the Judge does. Judge is very active on Facebook there, posting.
I kind of come and go, depending on how I sleep that night. Maybe
And also-
one posted at 4 in the morning.
Also, you can give us a call here at the studio if you have a comment or question, or if you're just looking for a good idea for that perfect gift for that someone special to put under the tree. As the Judge says, it's not Christmas unless there's a gun under the tree. Give us a call here at the studio, 251-343-0106, and you can text to that same number as well. So we definitely try to look out for any texts you may send, and also any type of response on Facebook Live. We definitely try to get to those questions, comments, and answer those as well on the show live. Be sure and check out our website, armedalabama.com, and you can listen there to our show. We have a podcast there. All of our previous shows are listed on armedalabama.com, and of course the Judge has got some good content there and some good articles. Or if you just want to know a little bit more about myself and Judge Johnson, you can email us to adam@armedalabama.com or the Judge at armedalabama.com. We'll be glad to hear from you. You may inadvertently provide us with a topic for the next show, so which is sometimes where we get our topics from, just from questions from listeners.
Adam, it looks like they're going to debate the national reciprocity, concealed carry reciprocity, the Friday before Christmas, which would be the 21st. I think that may be the last day, so I would suspect that will not be passing. That, they've had 2 years to do it. Yep. And they're going to wait to the last day. And I wasn't that excited about it anyway,
No, I mean, there's a lot of good things about it. Yeah, there's a lot of good things about it. But as you said, Judge, we have our concerns. And
we have a great concealed carry law here, and we got great reciprocity. And, just think maybe that could only hurt us if we're lumped, because then nationally they could do something. And actually, I talked to Josh Blackman, who is one of the 7 or 8 conservative law professors in the country out of 8,000, and he had the same concerns I did.
Well, sometimes you just get in there and muck it up and water down maybe some strong laws that we already have. And,
right.
So you got to be careful with that.
Right, exactly. There's a good article. If anybody, there's a good website called thetruthAboutGuns.com. A little bit like Drudge, where they have reports from other places, but they go into this. I think it's nonsense. But anyway, I won't comment more than that, about these protection order, red flag orders, where, most of I'm sure sometimes they work, but predicting whether somebody's going to, go berserk and shoot you with the gun, have some social worker do that, I don't feel real comfortable with.
Well, they take your due process away.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just get
and once
blindsided.
you're kind of in the file like that, I don't care if you get set aside later, you're in the file.
Was it Maryland that they went to serve that red flag and they actually ended up killing the guy because he didn't know?
Absolutely. And I think if you read all the literature, real people with mental problems are actually less likely to commit a crime, because most of them are, they can't function in society. Then I could go out and get a gun and go start shooting people. But another interesting one is a lot of states, like we do and Georgia does, prohibits the police from collecting serial numbers of guns, under the guise of being, hey, we want to prevent burglaries. Well, a town in Georgia is, but they have a private company doing it for them, which kind of gets around the don't give your serial numbers to anybody. Of course, where they get a lot of us is when some company you buy your gun from says, we'll give you a holster, you register your gun for your warranty, and then they got you.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many times we've gotten questions. It's like, hey, I bought this firearm. Do I need to go to the police station to register it?
Yeah, and I think, where are you from? But let me tell you, their satellites probably know what we're doing. We'll be right back with more of Armed Alabama. See you in a minute. Bit there. Welcome back to Armed Alabama. And just give you one tidbit. Most states had laws against desecration of the state flag and the United States flag. For 175 years, poor William Mumford was hanged in New Orleans by Union General Benjamin Beast Butler for getting drunk and pulling down the Union flag. Hanged. And then somehow they decided, in 92, no, that's freedom of expression. I mean, what nonsense. Okay, in about 5 minutes, we're going to do the Facebook questions, but we got old Mike on the line. Grand Bay. Hey, old Mike.
Hey, how's it going? I've walked all over Mississippi, it seems like, today, and a buddy of me, we're looking for deer signs over in a pine savanna over there. I'm telling you, we walked like crazy.
Hey, while you're out, I want you to look at rural traffic signs, stop signs. I'm trying to find one in the South that has not been shot with some type of firearm. I thought I had one last year, but by the time I got to it, it had been shot.
I don't know if it'd work with my kind of shooting. I just ordered me a new bow.
Oh, yeah, bows ain't going to do it. I like them when you see it's obviously bird shot. It's just splattered all over.
I'm telling you.
I was in Mississippi today, too, but I was at the courthouse in Clark County, unfortunately.
What I can't believe is all the grass and all that we walked in today, and we only ran across one moccasin.
Wow.
Now, it takes one moccasin to kill you, for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But I took a long stick and touched that moccasin on the head. I didn't kill it.
Oh, you should have.
Yeah, well, I was going to do it, but my buddy said, we're over here in his territory. He said, just don't kill it.
Yeah, so kill some 6-year-old because you didn't do that.
But the thing about it is, I was surprised we didn't see more than that. But here's my thing that I called in on. Okay. Every now and then you talk about non-lethal self-defense.
Yeah. Or they actually got less than lethal.
It's very unique.
Yeah.
One of them is called the Salts. It's SALTS.
Right.
And it shoots like a salt pellet.
Right.
And when it hits the perpetrator or whoever it is you're trying to shoot, it just explodes apart and gets the little particles of salt.
Kind of like Granny and her rock salt. Yeah, Granny Clampett would shoot you with rock salt. Mike, I've looked at those.
I've heard of that stuff.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh, yes.
If you want to fire something at them that hurts them, you can fire a pepper ball out of a paint gun, because I just don't think that's ever the salt gun. And it's not cheap. Have ever been proven in any way. Law enforcement never uses them. So I'd rather something, if you want something that long range, like say you can get a pepper ball. I've got a few of those.
But number 2 in the self-defense non-lethal is another idea that I don't know how great it would work. But the police officer puts, this is for law enforcement, and they take and put this little rubber enclosure over the end of their pistol before they fire the gun at the perpetrator. And it just goes out there like a rubber bullet and hits the person.
Well, you can get rubber buckshot, and then which is you get 3 feet from them. That's lethal, but 30 feet is probably not going to be. It's got little rubber balls in it, and right. But if lethal force is authorized, lethal force is authorized. And, you're really taking a chance. How many police do you see that try to taser somebody? Doesn't work, and they darn near either are killed or almost killed.
Now, that's something I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Is it legal for a citizen like us to be able to obtain non-law enforcement citizen to obtain a stun gun or
you were talking about a taser that shoots the dog.
Taser is what I meant.
Yeah, it is. Now, the taser company, they do some kind of background check. Now, that seems stupid, to me. It's not required by the law. But so somebody that had felonies, in theory, taser wouldn't sell it to them. And then they do some others. They used to, if it was discharge, not refill it or not send you the replacement. They should send them a police report. So, give
I know
me a break.
I'm taking up time, but I want to tell you the funniest dog story I've ever
Go
heard
ahead.
of. A gas man told me. He said he come up to this house one time, and this mean dog come running toward him. And he didn't have time to do anything else, so he took his gas nozzle and sprayed that dog right in the face. And that dog run, hid up under the house.
That sounds good to me. I hate dogs that attack you out in the street.
From then on, all he had to do was just on that nozzle. That dog
made friends.
Take off and go into the house.
Well, listen, you have a great Christmas, and call us next week.
All righty, you too now.
All right, take care. Remember, at Armed Alabama Radio, FM Talk 106.5 on Facebook. Get on there. I'm getting ready to show something. But I do want to thank Steve Moore, who is one of our advertisers. He is a personal injury attorney here in Mobile, and he is in Mobile, as opposed to some of the folks on the billboards who are not from Mobile. And you want somebody here that knows the community, knows the court, that type thing. And the courts. Steve actually went to law school with me. He's located downtown, or you can get him on the web at, of course, www. And it's Moore Law Firm, all one word, -al.com, or call them at 251-445-7602. Shall we do the first question? Okay, get around your Facebook. I'm going to, Barbara, you tell me, or you need to put it. I'm showing you a device. I'll give you a little hint. It was on about every other shotgun, especially in the South in the 60s. And a lot of them would have been painted or blued or whatever, silver. Anybody tell me what that is? And we will give you an AR-15 magazine from Brownells. It's a real good tactical magazine. And if you know the answer to that question, just call us at 251-343-0106. All right? Yeah.
And while we were talking about self-defense, Judge, someone just sent this to me, and it was a self-defense situation in Columbia, South Carolina, where an inmate broke out of the county jail and minutes later was shot and killed by a woman as he was trying to kick in the door. Actually, he kicked in the door, and as soon as he kicked in the door, she shot and killed him.
You have an address? We'll send her something. We'll have her on the show.
Send her a Christmas present.
If I remember correctly, I believe she was on her way to church.
This is actually another one.
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah,
okay.
This actually happened this morning, Tuesday morning at 3 a.m.
Nice.
Oh, 3 a.m. I used to, you couldn't enforce it, but about every, especially a younger criminal that I put on probation, I'd say, you got 11 o'clock to 6 a.m. curfew. And if you're working the probation, because I said that's when people tend to get in trouble.
Right.
Listen, all of us, the criminals out, the drunks are out, everybody's out, midnight, 1 a.m. If you can get off the road, you'll be a lot safer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the county sheriff stated that this was a big guy, and if he had gotten into the house without her having this gun, there's no telling what he'd do. And he said, good for her. And he said, I'd give her a big hug if I could.
But just don't say that he should be hanged. The woman in Mississippi got all the trouble. That I used that in a sentencing speech on a murderer. He was only eligible for life. I said, if I had the power to do so, I would order you publicly hanged. This was a white guy, so I didn't know that had become racist. That's what the woman in Mississippi was, tainted with. That was crazy, and she won. Good election. County I was in, I think she had 64% of the vote. Some of them, like George and them, 75% of the vote. Pretty impressive. But that's, it's your typical, like the Roy Moore and all that. Remember, if you know what I'm holding up on the Facebook, on the camera, if you can see that.
You have an answer.
Okay.
Henry Jolly.
What's
Henry Jolly says flash suppressor.
Well, no.
Okay.
Not that. But it's close. We want that name brand. It was so common. If you were a bird hunter 30 years ago, you'd know what 40 years ago. But now, Will, you have the when is the deadline? Will Case here at the Friends of the NRA. When is the deadline to purchase your raffle tickets?
Well, the drawing's at 3 o'clock on December 15th at Bass Pro
day.
Shop, and you can buy them up until we pull the name out of the kitty.
Where can they buy the tickets?
We have tickets located at Down South Arms inside a P&G Machine and Supply building on Old Shell Road. Caffeine Core, also on Old Shell Road over by University of South Alabama. Goldmine Pond over in Daphne. Toomey's Mardi Gras. SRT Mobile on Bronze Drive, the little indoor shooting range. Or you can call me at 251-753-6494 or K-Case at 251-610-2913.
And we'll go over the prizes you're giving away when we get back from this bottom of the hour break on Armed Alabama. Remember our number 343-0106, area code 251.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please?
No, can't see her. She's making a statement.
Where is she?
Look, it may take a while. Want to wait? There's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
I'll be back, and we are back on Armed Alabama. Now, I showed this object before Facebook, and we're going to get a question to give away a book in a minute, and we're going to give it to Dennis that said polychoke. That's close enough. It's actually a cuts compensator, but people use those interchangeably. But what would happen, I keep holding it upside down, this end has the threads, and, compensator, as we know from, ARs and such, they generally keep your gun from rising as opposed to having a choking. But I always thought this was a variable choke, too, so maybe it did both. But these were on lots of guns back 50s, 60s. They kind of uglied up a good gun, I thought.
They did, that's for sure.
It was if they threaded inside, it'd be one thing, but it was on the outside, so you had external threads and, caused some problems. But anyway, now, Will, what? Let's say you buy some tickets like I just did. What? And I happen to win. What are you auctioning? I bought them at that number.
Just like last year when we did this, you have your choice. We have two lists of guns. List A are the a little bit more expensive guns. You can pick one gun off List A, and those
Chinese
include
food. Okay.
Keltec RDB rifle, which is their bullpup 223, kind of a AR wannabe Keltec. Kimber 84 rifle and 6.5 Creedmoor, Kimber Custom 2 1911, a Ruger SR 1911 and 10 millimeter.
I might go with that Kimber 1911.
It's a pretty nice gun. Savage over-under or a Henry Golden Boy, the Second Amendment version, a little 22. And then we have List B, which you can pick two guns off List B if you go that route.
Yeah, if you need
and then you
need to fill your armory.
On that one, we have the DPMS Oracle AR, which is your kind of entry-level AR.
Yeah.
The FMK 9mm Legacy Sports over-under is kind of, an entry-level over-under in 12-gauge. Ruger Custom Target 1022, Taurus Judge, Weatherby Vanguard, and 30-06, a Glock 43, Bodyguard revolver from Smith & Wesson, or a Smith & Wesson SW22 Victory 22. And I'm telling you, I actually became an NRA instructor not too long ago.
Yeah.
And that's what I qualified on was the Victory 22. And, I mean, that thing was just super smooth. Didn't move.
The part where you have to hit 8 out of 10. I thought it was you had to hit all, and I missed one. I thought, oh.
Well, it's funny because when I
how about the single action? Because I'd never shot a single action, and about a week before that,
Really?
they had what's the Umbardi had one of the cattlemen or something.
Right.
Great deal on it. Some shop and got Scott about it was like $279, and loved it. 45 Colt.
Right.
And then a week later, it was like the same gun sitting there. said, load, fire, and unload. Oh,
right?
Wow.
Absolutely.
I would not have known what to do.
Well, yeah,
earlier.
it's funny because when I was going through the process, and you have to, it's 15 yards, 20 rounds in an 8-inch target, and you have to have 16 in a 6-inch group, which doesn't sound very hard.
Mm-hmm. Glad I didn't know that.
Unless you are only defensive shooting and you don't target shoot and you're not used to shooting at 15 yards.
I know they have to have some standard, but that's kind of the
like
problem.
That.
You're not shooting at the Olympics.
Well, you're right. And the first time I'm like, all right, let me just put the target out there. I printed some offline. I put it out there, and I shot it. I'm like, okay, this is harder than it first appeared.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard once you practice.
Then you got
but
pressure on you.
Well, exactly. It's funny because, again, it's not hard and it doesn't sound hard. And, shooters out there are probably thinking, what an idiot. You can't hit, you can't shoot 15 yards
but
and
you
get that
20
kind of a
people
grip.
waiting, standing around watching you. And
when you're only concealed carry, point shoot, not aiming really, and you're
right.
self-defense shooting for the last 10 years.
You aim, you're dead. I mean,
exactly.
You really did.
You kind of lose that skill. It's kind of almost like redoing it. But if you don't like any of those guns off any of those lists, we are also one of the prizes that you can choose is an $800 gift card to Bass Pro Shop, and then you can get whatever you want.
So you just got everything. I tell you, everybody ought to have a Ruger 1022.
Oh, absolutely.
Because 22 ammo is reasonable. And there are a lot of the guns, the Creedmoor, the 6.8, 6.5. A lot of those are great. The problem is the ammo cost.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing. If you're a new gun person, before you buy whatever gun, just look at the cost of the magazines because you need more than the one or two they give you, and the ammunition.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me is the cost of extra magazines for even the
Some
Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0s are $40.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you ought to have 4 or 5 magazines.
Absolutely.
I'm
the 10 minimum 10 for every gun.
Yeah. And you need some extra ammo lying around just because when you go shooting, you don't have to go to the store every time. You could stop at McCoy's every time you went. Or you could have 500 rounds, 1,000, 2,000 rounds. You kind of get started.
When I became a member of Moss Hill Sportsman's Club out in Indian Springs, and when you become a member there, you actually get a key to the shooting range and go anytime you want. And I drop my daughter off at school at 6:30 in the morning, and about once a week I try to get out there.
Then you go to the shooting range?
Absolutely. 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm the only one there. I can do whatever I want. I can set the targets up just the way I want. I don't have to worry about interrupting anybody else. And I started doing that, and it's amazing how I have about 2,000 rounds of 9mm laying around. Yeah. And 4 months later, I am like, I need to buy ammo because I'm completely out, basically, at the house.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
Wow.
I mean, I know we all know the other types that just stockpile it, which is fine. It's like money in the bank, but if you never shoot and enjoy it, you ought to shoot some and put a little more in.
Recycle the surplus.
No question about it. And I thought, here's another Christmas suggestion. I picked up the wrong loader, but what are these things called? Uplulas?
Uplula.
Yeah. It says A-K on it. I meant to get A-R, but if you've I'm showing it up to Facebook, but and you can look at that later if you're on the radio. But it's a little plastic device. Now, they're fairly $25 or something.
25.
But they clamp on. You've got to get – there's one for a pistol that'll do about every kind. But especially I've got Beretta M9 and those Beretta magazines, the last few rounds, you can't get them in unless something like this. But you can load it quick. It's I'll try to explain. I may get Charlie do it, but it's plastic, clips on the top. Now, a lot of gun manufacturers will give you one. They're never as good as this one. And especially on a magazine, you load the round and unload them too, and they just pop, 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 pop. You can load them, and I've had people say, you can't load it. Yeah, but when you're loading 25 magazines.
It's definitely a thumb saver.
Yeah, you get your thumb screwed up and everything else. And like I say, if you have $25 to spend on a gun person, it's a great thing. But figure out what kind.
Especially if, the like my mom, she bought a semi, she's always been a revolver lady, and she shoots great. But she got a semi-auto for the first time a couple of years ago, and she could not get the rounds in. So one of the, I think he was actually a range safety officer over at Styx River, had an Uplula
Great.
magazine loader, and he let her borrow it, and
That's
she went
good.
out and bought one. And
I usually buy the bright orange fluorescent pink ones so I can find them. We have probably about 10 of the things, but I know they have AK, AR, and then they have kind of a general pistol.
Yeah, it's 9
Mostly
millimeter
a
to
double
45
stick.
kind
Yeah.
of.
And they'll take
and then
care
the
of most
22.
of it.
They even have a 22 each. Most 22s are pretty.
I don't know if
easy
they
to load,
make it or someone else for the 9mm Colt, but boy, that's a tough magazine for a Colt AR, type AR.
Right.
They're just tough to get in the way they're staggered. So that's a good thing to get. And I thought I had them here. I don't know if y'all know what do they got? Spots, those stickers that you
Right.
put. If you have targets, most of the time, you'll shoot, let's say, a magazine, and you want to check it. These are little, mostly orange fluorescent stickers, round, that you can put over where you've shot, and it helps a lot of people so they can kind of move over a little bit,
Absolutely.
see where their prior shots. That's the same thing. The targets that are kind of the fluorescent, what do they call it, when you hit them?
Shoot and see.
Yeah, and they're great, but they're pretty darn expensive.
They're expensive, and then once you shot them, I mean, they make the little stickers to go over those.
Yeah.
But we actually bought some of those just basically little black stickers
Yeah.
off Amazon. I think
Yeah.
it was 1,000 roll.
Yeah,
for
and you just put
$5.
those over, and you can kind of. It is good for kind of correcting, but like you say, I try to do a lot of defensive shooting, so I just want to hit just kind of center mass.
Well, the great thing about Moss Hill is we actually every Saturday we are open to the public, even though we're members only. But on the Saturdays we're open to the public, and at 9:00 in the morning on the first Saturday every month we do a point shoot, which
Great.
is 6 rounds, 3 targets, fast as you can do it.
And we don't do the crazy Israeli method where they have to load their gun.
No,
first.
no. It's you
just-
start at low, ready,
Right.
ready to go. The second Saturday is the 3-gun. The third Saturday is bowling pin, and then the president is actually CMP certified range officer, so they are starting to do a M1 Garand shoot every fourth Saturday. CMP style, not quite CMP certified yet, but the goal is to do
That'll
do
be
CMP.
fun to have people.
Oh, absolutely. I've never shot an M1 Garand myself. So.
My son has, and I warned him. The man that taught him shooting warned him about the M1 thumb. And boy, I said, well, that's too bad. And you just have to see. Hell, before I knew it, he had gone to the doctor and they drilled through his nail. And he wasn't going to put up with that. Let's take Joe on the line from Mobile talking about NRA defense insurance. Hey, Joe.
Hey, just checking to see you. Can y'all give us a little detail for you?
I'm sorry, I didn't have on my earphones. Hey, Joe.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll talk about the self-defense insurance.
Saying something about being affiliated or being something with the NRA. Do y'all have any info on that self-defense insurance?
Yeah, and like I say, if you're using your last dollar to buy it, don't. Because it's not essential. But if you have $300 a year or something like that, buy it. The likelihood of anybody that calls this show is probably a decent person, and it's not going to ever happen. Insurance plays odds, but lots of people just don't want any unknowns. But you still need to abide by the law and everything. I mean, they won't go to jail for you, and there are a lot of loopholes in it. But basically, and I'll tell you one thing, they will point to the guy in Florida, kind of a Spanish name that shot the black kid, Trayvon Martin.
In Florida.
Yeah, and they'll say, hey, it cost. You could get a gold-plated defense for murder in Mobile, including the appeal, for $75,000. And I'm going on the upside. It's never going to cost you $1 million unless you're in California or someplace. But, if you have extra $300 around a year, that's one of the better ones. There are 2 or 3 that kind of the same.
It's peace of mind, too.
Yeah, it is. Like I say, if it's not taking meals out of your kid's mouth, buy it.
Well, I would think for $300 that'd be cheaper than calling Dennis Nicely,
Yeah, it would be. You'd have to, cough some money over. And in theory, you could say be self-insured, but we know how that goes. You never put the money aside. Nobody ever does.
Right.
Good point, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm trying to think of a question. Yeah, we got a break here, and we'll be right back, folks. Remember, 251-343-0106, Armed Alabama.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood, make my day. This is Judge Rusty Johnston with Armed Alabama, and we're giving away Paul Brusky's book, The Last Siege, the Mobile Campaign, Alabama 1865. Paul is a local author, and this is an excellent book about the Union illegally taking Mobile. And, there are a lot of books written about that, but frankly, they were kind of trite. The next chapter would be the Azalea Trail Maids and that kind of thing. But, okay, let's see. Can anybody name for me the Confederate general who was in overall charge of Alabama and Mississippi? He was also a son of a president. And he was the one that actually made the final surrender up around Citronelle. Maybe I don't say it's the final surrender. They were going into the summer, but around May 4th. The Confederate general, he was officially in charge of Louisiana. He was actually from New Orleans, or lived in New Orleans. And he was in charge of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and may have been some more. But son of a president also.
And they need to call in and be
call
on
in
the air.
At 343-0106. Yeah, we want to talk to you. So we want to send you this great book, Paul Brusky's book, The Last Siege, the Mobile Campaign, Alabama 1865. Easiest way to get it is on Amazon. You can just look it up, and Paul's last name is Brueske, Paul Brusky. And if you're on Facebook, you can go to the Mobile, Alabama Civil War Between the States Roundtable, which is a monthly group that has speakers, discusses that kind of thing. Yes.
By the way, you do know that since we're all kind of Clint Eastwood fans, he's got a new movie out, and he's in
about
his
85.
He's in his 90s. I think.
What's his movie?
The movie's called The Mule.
Wow.
He's a
which
drug
means
mule.
he's running drugs.
My father takes me to see Hang 'em High, and I'm about 8. He wants to go. It's like that kind of bothered me at a young age.
Yeah, I think The Mule is a true story about a guy. Wasn't it? Didn't he get forced into it by the cartel?
Yeah, I think so.
Old man driving a truck. Nobody's going to look at him twice.
Yeah,
kind
that's
of thing.
Probably a good
Doesn't fit the
idea.
bill.
But we'll talk. We'll have an open lines on drug legalization one week. And one part of me says, it's like Ron Paul said, how many of us are going to go out and buy crack cocaine tomorrow if it were legal?
Oregon's trying to
None of us in here are.
Pass hallucinogenic mushrooms.
If I know the technology's there,
we need?
it just isn't cheap enough. It looks at your eyes while you're driving. It can detect whether you're sleepy, using dope, whatever, and just shuts you down. If we had those in all the cars, right, I'd say fine. I just don't want. But the people drunk there's so many more people killed by alcohol than any of the drugs.
I'm sure it's in California that they have. They actually have a shoot up, like a clinic where heroin addicts can go in and actually shoot up.
A safe place for them
the problem
to take
is,
their drugs.
Like the places that have legalized marijuana, it's usually more expensive than it is to buy it on the street because they got so many taxes on it. So it doesn't solve the government's not going to solve their problem. But you think it took an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to outlaw alcohol sales. This was done almost administratively.
Right.
I mean, stuff that was legal way before the country was.
Well, the problem is that I think you were talking about earlier, the hydroponics and the different kinds of growing things that they have. I mean, it's all genetically enhanced, and it's laced with stuff. I mean, the marijuana and the THC.
Can you imagine buying a pill from somebody that you didn't know?
No.
Unless it was a name brand and had the score. I can't imagine. I mean, you don't know that you get machines that can make us.
You want your pharmacist to be very accurate.
I'm not so sure I trust him sometimes. I'll look it up in the book. Let's take Brandon, who is on there. He has got an answer. Brandon?
Is it General Richard Taylor?
You got it. And, Brandon, we're going to get your address, but tell everybody. Richard Taylor, son of Zachary Taylor, and I think he went to Harvard, but, he was a big reader, and he read all kind of military history, and he was a really good guy and a good general, and when he returned to his place in New Orleans after the war, his daughter's ponies had been beheaded and strung upside down by Benjamin Butler and all of that. So, so when Walter Isaacson, some of those people in New Orleans say, New Orleans didn't have anything to do with the war, no, it had a lot to do.
He needs to hang on.
But he's an interesting person. Thank you, Brandon. I'm going to give you to Phil, and he's going to get your address, unless you're here and you want to stop by and pick it up, but we can mail it to you just as easy.
That'll work.
Okay, hold on a minute. Phil? Yeah, Richard Taylor, of course, Zachary Taylor, is his father. Very few people realize, the person that got all the publicity in the Mexican-American War was General Scott. And, that was the big land. But Zachary Taylor had already invaded northern Mexico, the big battle at Buena Vista. He's outnumbered 8-1. And they say Polk just kind of didn't like him, so he just took about half his troops away and got Winfield Scott to land, which was kind of bad. But he died, 6 months into office, a year into office, and some thought it was poisoning, some say cholera, but whatever. Right. Now tell us again where we can buy raffle tickets for the NRA, and I've got my NRA Life member, which, depending on the time of the year, sometimes they have those discounted to $500.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the last time I saw it was $600. But
yeah,
so yeah, you
can NRA website.
Absolutely. So you can get the tickets for the Friends of NRA Christmas raffle, which is going to be held. The drawing is going to be held at Bass Pro Shop on December 15th at 3 p.m. You can buy tickets up until that time, and you can get tickets at Down South Arms, located inside P&G Machine and Supply on Old Shell Road, 2617. That's actually my shop. Caffeine Core.
You're saying like a
caffeine,
coffee place.
Yes, coffee place, and veteran-owned business, great coffee.
And where's that?
It is at 5552 Old Shell Road, Unit B. It's right there next to the university.
Okay, we
right across the street
them.
From the. It's right across the street from the mailbox.
A lot of the coffee
office.
Houses kind of have a left-wing bent.
Well, they sell
especially
Death
the
Wish
chain
coffee.
From Seattle.
They sell Death Wish coffee, Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Good
stuff like that.
Okay.
It's all military, veteran-owned stuff. Gold Mine Pawn over in Daphne has some tickets. Toomey's Mardi Gras on Government Street. SRT Mobile has tickets now, and then
the indoor shooting range. Cody, is it?
It's right off Cody. Yes, the big green building. It's just south of Grelot.
Right.
And then you can either call me at 251-753-6494 or call K-Case at 251-610-2913.
Don't buy too many, though, because I've already got the winning tickets.
And yeah, just to throw it out there, we're not selling as many sheets of tickets as we did last year, so the odds are much better to win this year.
What are they, $5, $10 a piece?
They're $5 per ticket and $20 for a sheet of 8.
Okay.
Do you have to be present to win?
Do not have to be present to win.
Great.
Thank you, Charlie.
Well, listen, first of all, I want to thank Buck Allen, who is our singer, songwriter. He sings the opening I almost said opening song. We thank him for that. Also, Steve Moore Law Firm. They're located down on Dearborn Street. The number's 251-445-7602 or at www.moorelawfirm-al.com. See them for any personal injury issues. And, of course, you can go by McCoy's and get loaders and ammo and anything you want. And we're going to do this next week. We'll probably have some more Christmas ideas. And those of you that called in and won, we thank you for that. And I guess we talked about what cuts compensator, if I didn't say it. We had an answer polychoke. People use those interchangeably, but what I showed earlier was a cuts compensator. We will see you next week on Armed Alabama on this very station, FM Talk 106.5 in Mobile.